Welcome back, Starcraft fastest map fans. I'm RJB here on RJB's YouTube channel called RJB's Starcraft Casts, and today I've got some 458 back on the menu for all of you guys who love that 458 Protoss, and his opponent is EBS. And my heart tells me I've already casted this. Another part of my heart tells me I haven't, so we'll just have to wait and see how this one pans out. What's going to happen and whether we're going to like it or not. So yeah, as usual, 458 is on the Protoss. EBS here on the other side of the map is playing the Brown Terran, and EBS is most likely the user Leebokgu, also known as Gold SCV to a lot of people, and some people might even know him as the user White and Black. Yeah, White and Black. And he's won about 3 StarCraft World seasons in the 1v1 ladder. And 458 has never really dipped his toes into the Western fast map scene. But he is playing from America most of the time. So he could have, because he prefers this map over the other one. Starts off with the +1 Nexus, so no usual 2-gateway harassment from 458 coming out this time around. EBS starts off with 2 barracks. A third one is not on the way. He's not planning on going for a third one. Wants to stick with just 2, which I understand. It's a reasonable choice. Saving up some minerals for something. Either a +1 command center after the 2 barracks, which is honestly quite daring. But it looks like he's going for a supply depot first. And then the +1 command center coming right afterwards. I just don't see the reason why he would be saving up so many of his minerals if he wasn't going for the +1 command center. There it goes, 400 minerals. No, come on, this one, make it, come on, do it, let the power consume you. Oh, he did it, he made it. The +1 command center coming out there for EBS after the 2 barracks start. No gas, no academy yet. Those will be coming up in the near future though, but he's going to let 458 just comfortably choke up his front. Though I doubt that EBS could have contested it if he hadn't done this, because the Marine timing is pretty much still the exact same. So both players planning on ramping up their economy. Cybernetic score already on the way for 458. Got 2 gases finished up, 6 probes moving right into the gases. EBS trying to be cheeky with that SCV, trying to snipe that probe, but the probe is getting untangled. SCV runs away for his life, scared as hell. And a 3rd command center even coming out for EBS, because he sees the state that 458 is in, and he doesn't feel directly threatened just yet. They're just staring at each other menacingly, and that's about it. Pylons, of course, in the corner. Anti-firebat. Cheesy move. And the user can try to sneak in fire bats by lifting a barrack over the hill. That's why 458 always throws down that pylon there in the corner. He's got this Citadel of Dune on the way. No robotics yet. No robotics. Which leads me to believe, and don't quote me on this one, but it leads me to believe he's going for Dark Templars. That's what I honestly believe is the case. I do think a robo is now on the way. Yeah, that's a robo. Academy now coming out for EBS as well. Marines are in the front, just making sure those zealots cannot do any cheesy zealot stuff. Cheeky zealots. Probe tries to get in. Probe moves the fuck out of there because 408 sees that, oh damn, Marines there in the way. I cannot scout him. Went for 2 gas right at the bat, which means that he's going to be shifting into a lot of factories, not really relying on those barracks all that much. They're just there as an early game safety measure. Both command centers finished up. Both players are on about 32 and 24 SCVs, but EBS is going to be catching up on 458's economy lead. Only reason 458 has more probes is because he started at +1 Nexus before EBS started with the delayed +1 command center. Some more cannons are in the front just in case, because 458 is not getting any information here, so he doesn't really know what EBS is up to. And actually I have to correct myself, because EBS is adding on 2 more barracks there in his base instead of going for a lot of factories. He's just going for Marines with stim and range. to defend himself against those incoming drops, which is honestly quite smart. Gets cut out here though by those zealots, but he just in time moves out of there. Only costs him a single Marine. And Marine's now moving back to base. I assume he's going to start up his choke very soon. Engineering Bay has finished up, so turrets should be coming down here on the sides as well. As Stim, no range yet. Psionic Storm is now on the way here for 458. Robotics Facility number 2 as well. I was wrong about the Dark Templars, because there's no Dark Templars coming out for him. He said he's going straight for the regular High Templars. Storm drops it is, with a small mass in conjunction with it. Probably going to shuttle them in with the shuttles and kill whatever he can find inside that base. Marines being spread out across the map here for EBS. Getting himself some information just in case something flies over. But also providing himself with a little bit of drop dodge vision here on that mineral patch, so he can send his hotkey workers there in case he needs to avoid a storm. So 2 scans are out. Scans have not yet been used. He's saving the scan energy for about the 6:30 minute mark, because that is usually the time that this stuff starts leaving the base. Although 4 of 8 could have already left and already decided to fly in. But he's postponing that idea for just a little bit longer because he's waiting for 2 more shuttles, or maybe 1. But I think he's going for 2 more shuttles. He wants to go for a triple shuttle drop. 5 Templars, 3 Zealots, more Zealots, no more Templars, and Zealots actually are on the way. We load up 12 units. He's already got 7 there. Wait, no, 8 there. So 4 more going to be loaded up in there. Now getting his anti-tank drop defense. Because of course you don't want to lose your workers against tank drops. That's definitely worth it. There's no starport out for EBS yet. Still on a single factory. He's mostly just ramping up his economy, becoming really, really big. That at about the 8-minute mark he can start filling up his base. Given the condition that he survives that first drop, that the first drop doesn't hit him too hard. Actually 4 shuttles here. That's 3. Templars, 4 Templars, 4 Zealots. This one is empty. It's nothing in production. So that one's just going to stay there in the base. He's going to fly in with those 3 shuttles, but he's a little bit late. 7:14. So shuttles are already up. And the fact that EBS started off with a very early +2 command center means he's got more economy than he usually would have if he hadn't. But the drop unloads, storms a bunch of Marines, got more storms there in the mix. 1, 2, 3, 4. He kills a lot of Marines actually, way more than I anticipated. 1 more Templar is there, kills a couple of SCVs, but the SCVs quickly move out of the way. But a real drop comes in from the top side. 3 Templars, 1, 2, 3. 3 storms, kills pretty much all of the SCVs that were there. 26, 21, 20 of them surviving the storms. Down from 58 because both of them were on the same number of workers. That was a really smart setup there. Tiny little hole there from EBS in the top side there of his base, top corner, uncovered by turrets. A little bit of an oversight from his end. And it's pretty hard to see the purple color on the minimap as well, in my opinion. I always like to switch it up and turn it into red and blue when I'm playing the game. Or well, in teal and red is the preferred color I go for. So yeah, this time around he's not messing around. He's going for those raids. Make it a little bit easier to snipe those shuttles in case they come in from a little bit of an easier path to deal with. Which it out 4 of 8 is going to give him the opportunity for. He's already got 6 shuttles this time around. It's a lot of shuttles, a lot of Zealots, a lot of Templars. He does scan it this time. EBS threw down the scan, so he sees it. He sees that it's all being loaded up. He knows what to expect, so he's moving all of his units in position to brace himself for impact. Looks like he is splitting up once again. 1 coming from the top side, 1 coming from the bottom side. Never making life easy. There's no Corsairs yet to guide those shuttles in. He's not going in from the side. He's going in from the top side there. Pulls 1 away because it's empty. Starts flying in. 1 of them dies. I think the Templars in there died in the first shuttle because his Wraith Rust providing additional vision over the hill, which caused these shuttles to start firing a little bit earlier. Of course, the Wraith firing on the shuttle as well. So that one pretty much achieves nothing at all, which is really beneficial for EBS. So EBS can start building up a little bit more, already adding on more gas. Already recovered 23 of his SCVs after that initial storm drop that shut his economy down to a certain degree. But he's not as big as he would have been had that drop not hit him, because he would have at this point pretty much filled out more than almost his entire base and be really comfortable. Start sniping the shuttles. Really quick response there from EBS. Storm comes down on the Marines. 2 storms. He kills a lot of Marines there. A lot of Marines, definitely worth the attempt. But more worth it for EBS because he manages to avoid critical damage to his worker line, which is the honestly most important part of playing TVP, keeping those workers alive and scaling up, ramping up, becoming big, and eventually becoming too big to handle for Protoss. On the downside though, EBS has very little at his choke here, so 458 is going to tear through those depots. They're in the front. Really smart mix up there. He's got Templars in the back there as well, ready to storm those Marines. Marines getting... Ooh, the Marines don't dodge the storm just in time. Marines going down. He pulls the tanks back there behind. Ooh, this time he does dodge it, but the tanks of course cannot dodge. Now he has to snipe. Oh! Great storm there. Another storm there coming in for him as well. He clears out all the Marines except for this lonely one. But that one is trying to take on the Archon. Goes down to his own tank in the end, but takes down the Zealot as well. Small little hole there, but a lot of units have gone down there for EBS, and he's definitely feeling hurt. Yeah, mostly filling out most of his gas. He's got 7 gazers now being mined from. Still has to fill them out with SCVs. Another wave is coming in. This time the wave is rather small, but Dragoons are there as well. And the tanks are all the way there in the back, which means that these Dragoons can very comfortably take down the engineering base and those depots there in the front, the bunker as well. Marines now stimming to the front, trying to take down those Dragoons. Dragoons have level 1 shield upgrade. No armor, no weapons, but armor and weapons are both on the way. Got Mind Control on the way there as well, and that is a very smart pickup on the Templar. Landed them on the hill so that he cannot snipe them, and the Templars can very comfortably be safe and storm, regain their energy and storm again. Tanks though take down the Dragoons. Marines there also still alive. He's gonna need some medics there in the mix to keep regenning those Marines. Doesn't have medics on the way though. 63 SCVs now, 86 for 458. 458's base has filled out quite nicely. But as usual, he stopped filling out his base because he's mostly just focused on attacking with those very precise, very well executed, very strong and hard to defend against attacks that he loves to pull off. He keeps mixing it up, goes for the frontal attack, then he goes back to the drops right on the minerals. Once those units have been moved away from the backside, Storm's coming down on the SCVs, kills about 10, kills about another 5. But now the Zealots are wreaking havoc on that tank line, on the SCVs that are still there. Pulls back his shuttles and his corsairs as not to waste them so he can reuse them for another drop. SCV's now pulling back to the minerals. Does he have Storm still on this Templar? He still has Storm, but the Templar goes down right before he can Storm. Or maybe 458 wasn't even aware. So the mix-up here from EBS is really smart, making those raids, because now it is easier to defend against those shuttle drops, because he can snipe those shuttles with single volleys from those raids. And possibly even go on the offensive shuttle defense if he gets some good scans down in the front where the shuttles are being loaded up, and he can move out of his base and start sniping those shuttles while they are still in transit in between both bases. The Dragoons are now having their effectiveness diminished. He does take down those depots there in the front, so the wall is gone. The wall has to be rebuilt. Bunker is burning. Tanks are doing a lot of work. 5 kills, 6 kills. This one's on 6 kills as well. So these tanks really putting in some mileage in defending the front. And once again, another wave comes in, just there to take down that frontal wall. Wait, there's a small hole in the wall, so we can walk through and attack those bunkers and tanks directly. But they take a lot of damage before they even arrive in between at their destination. They did take down those SCVs, so the wall is delayed. He's putting up observers there on the side, just so he has some vision of what is there on the sides, but also so he can, if he flies in, have detection for those cloak raids, which is why he has those observers there following those shuttles as well. He's going to drop here somewhere on the side and mostly just clear out stuff. It also prevents EBS from hunting for the shuttles, because the observers are there and the Corsairs really destroy those raids really quickly. Look at those raids go down so quickly. Shuttles make it through all the way. SB's now trying to dodge the storm, but they're a little bit late. He loses about 19. He eventually does manage to pull most of them to safety. Actually, no, he lost about 27. 27, 28. I'm sorry, I can't count. But he lost a lot of SBs once again, so he's really feeling hurt once again. 458 is not letting up. His bank is growing. He's not spending on building. He's just spending on attacking. And that's pretty much the only weakness 458 has. His playstyle is so pressure reliant Like he tries to keep up the pressure non-stop, and he pulls off the pressure really well. But the downside of it is that pretty much all of his actions are going into attacking and setting up good attacks and executing his attacks and trying to deal damage, whereas he never really gives himself a single moment to build up cannons on the middle, build a carrier expo, build carrier stargates in his own base, or diversify his methods, or set himself up for a tech switch. So in a sense, yes, he does have probably one of the best drop-centric plays, and frontal and side style attack styles. But if you make it through that entire portion, you stay alive, the counterattack is what he's weakest to. So yeah, pretty much the answer to playing 4v8 is don't die. Sounds simple, sounds kind of stupid even. Don't die so you don't die, don't die so you win. It's easier said than done, but it's a legit strategy. Because he just, if you get through, the game is yours. So you can see still no carrier expo, and it's looking like he's going to need carriers for this, unless he unloads right on top of those tanks and clears out those tanks. But the raids are there to take down the shuttles. Actually, he one-shots the raids with those Corsairs. Those Corsairs and the Observer are really putting in some real work, making life easier for 458. So now we can start running in those shuttles and unload on top of the tanks. Already cleared up a huge chunk right here. More tanks are respawning, although he's only on 5 factories, so it's going to take a while to replace those lost tanks. Only on 3 starports there. He's really trying his hardest to rebuild, but 458 is not giving him a break. Turrets already being taken down there on the top side, so he's forced to pay attention there as well and make new turret there. And he's got the mind control there. He might go for the Dark Archon mind control, though for now he's keeping that Archon there in the back, in his base. He's not putting it into action just yet. Yeah, he's moving it away. Another drop is flying in over the bottom side. This time there's no raids, but there are Valkyries to shut it down, but the Valkyries don't respond in time, so Templars are unloading on the low ground, Templar Storms on the SCVs. He kills about 7 of them. Not a great storm. Better than nothing, but not a great storm. Frontal attack happening once again as well. The tanks are this time within just enough distance of the depots to protect them from the Dragoon range, so the Dragoons are pulled back. Shuttles filled up with units. Flying in, ready to unload on those tanks, because there's no Valkyries, no raids here to protect those tanks, no Marines either. So he actually does end up clearing out quite a couple of them, and now clears out this chunk of tanks here as well, although these 2 in the back are probably going to stay alive, but at least he achieves something. And he's already once again maxed out after disposing of those units to quite nice results. Hole is open. Not a lot of tanks on this portion. A lot of tanks are on the bottom side though. Tanks are in the back as well. Not a lot of Marine guns, shuttles flying into the back. While he's attacking with those zealots in the front. Dragoons coming in as well. Once again, shuttles that are empty. Is there a distraction? Why are they empty? He should have loaded some zealots in there and dropped. But look at this. He's actually dealing quite a lot of damage because he's only on 2-3-2 upgrades for his ground forces against 1-1 tanks. And those Marines are on 0-1. So those Marines are pretty much just tickling at this point. Tries going with a drop there on the side. Wait, no, he tried to mind control on SCV, but the shuttle goes down, so no mind control for you, 458. And justly so. Dragoons there still dealing so much damage. Already pushed EBS back from here back to there. No, 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 don't do it. Don't do it, 458. Shoot, shoot, be gone. Alright, so he got the mind control SCV. I don't like it, but I don't think it's actually going to be necessary because he's already winning. He already won. Because at this point, it looks like EBS knows that he cannot fight back. He's pretty much done for. The pressure was pretty much non-stop ever since minutes. Ever since 740, the pressure has been non-stop, and EBS has been having a really bad time keeping up with 458's assault. He's been trying his hardest, but every single time 458 came out and attacked, EBS lost something. Tanks, buildings, workers. He was kept small, kept busy, incapable of really building up comfortably and scaling up until he hit critical mass, where he can no longer be stopped. So 4 of 8's weakness never really got exposed here. We do know his weakness, but as long as he keeps the pressure up, as long as he keeps assaulting non-stop, that weakness never gets exposed. Because he can keep going, and there's nothing for the enemy to capitalize on, as long as that assault goes on and on and on. My highlight of the match, though, is using those observers with the Corsairs alongside the drop shuttles to take care of those very annoying raids, as it really set him up for success. So it's time. I've got one more replay in the mix, in the list, ready to be casted. So I'm going to just head over to replay number 2 and hop right in. And of course, to no one's surprise, replay number 2, we face the exact same scenario. EBS on the Terran, 458 on the Protoss. And EBS, well, it's pretty much the same spots, but mirrored. 458 went from the bottom left corner to the top right, whereas EBS went from the middle right to the middle left. Let's see what he starts off this time around. He's playing the orange Terran. 458 playing the white Protoss, although the color is not really that important, because we can go disco mode just like this. Whoop, 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 look like that. Orange, blue. And red, white. I like white, honestly, so I'll just go for white and orange. We don't see those colors too often. I personally prefer purple and orange the most when I'm playing. They just feel most comfortable, most distinct, and easy to catch up on when you're playing. But I think that brown might be more annoying for the opponent, so sometimes I also go brown or teal. I also go teal, because it's also kind of annoying how it interacts with the gas and the minerals. Sometimes it can be hard to distinguish. I remember there was a time when they had cyan in the possible color selection wheel as well, which was pretty much a nightmare because you couldn't distinguish between gas and minerals whatsoever. It became honestly impossible. Yeah, so he starts off with the 810 barracks depot, and of course another barracks coming out there as well. 4 of 8 starts off with the gateways after the 8-9 pylon, 2 gateways of course, then a pylon there in the front, and of course a nexus will be coming down here above his nexus for the double nexus start to boost his economy up a little bit. 2 gateways are just there for some zealots to keep the Terran busy and potentially even deal some real damage, which can happen if the Terran fails to micro their marines as they should be microed, but also protects him from Terran aggression, those 2 gateways, because he's going to make a forge after this nexus, after he of course queues up 2 zealots, so a forge and then bubble cannons are in the front. I honestly feel like I've casted this before, or maybe I've just watched it before, I'm not too sure, but sometimes even a recast of a game I've already done, it might be worth it. Because not everyone goes back to rewatch my old videos. Some people just keep watching the new videos, I guess. So it might actually catch some new viewers who haven't seen the past stuff yet. Fresh stuff, so to speak. The 3 barracks out here for EBS. No gas, no academy yet. Just balling up. He's waiting for information. Because once he sees whether 458 has zealots out on the map, he's going to decide whether he goes for +2 command centers or for just 1 command center and an academy. But of course, those zealots do need some tending to. He micros it pretty well. Single marine goes down, 2 zealots go down, zealot almost dead, zealot is going to die before it reaches the SCV line. But he gets himself some information on what EBS is doing because he did see that +1 command center there. He couldn't see whether there was gas or an academy, so he does lack that information. But he doesn't need that information because he can just do what he wants to do. Cannons coming out there in the front, zealots still on the way, zealots here in the front trying to harass those marines, but the marines are too great in number. And look at this, he put the 2 low HP marines there in the back intentionally, just to make sure he doesn't lose any of his marines once he starts the micro. Small little detail, but it can make a world of a difference. So SCV there trying to be a dick, but he's not going to be enough of a dick because he goes down actually. He gets punished for it. So he pulls back to his cannons and he is safe EBS cannot go in because 2 cannons are finished up. There's 4 zealots there as well. You cannot fight into those cannons and zealots with those marines, so he pulls back. 4-8 comfortably scaling up. He's got a citadel and a robo on the way, and soon robo number 2, once he hits that 200 gas mark, it's going to take a couple more seconds before you can hit that. So there's command center number 2. There's an academy as well. Gas has just finished a couple seconds ago. Actually, more than a couple seconds ago, probably 30 seconds ago, because he's already making that factory. He's got that going for him as well. Glass of water. Nice and refreshing where you're non-stop talking like this. Nothing goes above some water. Well, maybe there's a couple of drinks that do. Actually, quite a lot of them. There's this one drink from India called lassi. Lassi, I'm not sure how you pronounce it in English. You just know that here in the Netherlands we say lassi. And it's kind of like a sweet yogurt drink. It's amazing. Only had it twice on the same day at some Indian restaurant up north in the country, in Groningen. It's really delicious. But that aside, even though it is very important, this is more relevant at the moment. He's got that archive finishing up. He's got that shuttle on the way. He's got robo number 2 warping in. Got that robotic facility making the shuttle speed, or, well, graphite boosters they call them. Although the interface is not showing it this time. Psionic Storm there on the way as well. He's adding on 4 more gateways because he wants to start ramping up his gateway production. Because he needs zealots. I assume he's going for zealot lags as well, although he hasn't queued it up yet. But he should soon. Temples are on the way. Actually, I'm wrong. I assumed he was going to go for the double Reaver frontal attack, in which case he would go for zealot lags, because you want those zealots to be fast so they can run in once those Reavers start shooting on those Marines. But that is not the case. He's going straight into Templar drops. And of course, some anti-tank drop protection as well. My throat is not feeling like it is in peak condition. My voice isn't feeling like it's in peak condition. There's a little bit of cracking going on there. I'm not really a fan of that cracking in my voice. I've already gone through puberty a decade ago. That's not a good sign. So yeah, machine shop there, finishing up siege mode. Tank on the way there as well. 1 tank is already finished. They're up in the front. He's now making a wall with depots there in the front to keep those zealots out. Once those zealots do come, he used the scan to check up on 458's tech progression. He probably saw that there's 2 shuttles there, a couple of Templars as well. One of them gets loaded up. The other one is still empty. He's going to fly in or try to find a way in over the bottom side. There's shuttle number 1. He gets spotted out by a Marine, so he has to kill that Marine with the Zealot. But the Marine is running away, trying to chase the shuttle, deal some damage. So that at least... Oh no, he's just running away from the Zealot instead. And another drop here, finding its way in over a wide open hole. He might have spotted it. I don't think he did. He flies in, but his shuttle's going to go down. And Templar's there on the low ground. Another shuttle is trying to find his way in, but this time he's only going to storm on those Marines first. He catches 1, he catches 2 storms, kills about 5 or 6 Marines there. But the shuttle now comes in. This shuttle has 2 Templars in there as well. 1 Templar unloads, and it's unloads on the wrong side there. So pretty much all I can do is storm some Marines, as is, well, a single Marine, as is tradition. If you can't hit the minerals, storm Marines or storm those tanks. Pretty much just storm anything you can. Anything is better than nothing. And maybe you end up storming 12 Marines, which might end up making a difference later on in the game. Like 20 minutes later, 20 seconds afterwards, those 12 Marines are gone and you want to fly in a drop, and there's nothing in between those shuttles and the minerals except for some turrets, which really don't pose much of a threat. Well, they do, but you can start unloading shuttles regardless, alright? So he finds himself a nice hole, flies straight into those Marines. The Marines there on the lookout are gonna be facing storms, but he managed to snipe 2 Templars before a storm comes down. 1 storm there comes down on top of the Marines, and a lot of Marines there do go down, and that's a great example of trying to storm at least something that was really well played by EBS, stimming down the 2 Templars with target selection before they could storm. So only Templar number 3 got something done. Because that might have been a lot of that Marines. Pretty much every single Marine would have died had he gotten those storms off. So that's great. Great for him. EBS is handling himself a little bit better than he did last game. And 458 is finding a little bit of a harder time. A little bit more pushed back by EBS this time. Alright, Marine stimming, Templar on the low ground. Templar gets stormed once again, so damn quick. Really great target selection there, great accuracy from EBS. It's risky because those SCVs, well, that's actually, he could have stormed this portion here, but that's only 6 SCVs. He's got all those SCVs on the other side, so his SCVs would have been safe, but I don't think it's, sometimes it's not worth the risk. Because sometimes it goes wrong, and you curse yourself for trying to snipe the Templar before it storms, and you pay the price. But at the moment, if it works, you are a hero. And EBS at the moment is a hero for holding the first drop attempts so well. Templar's moving, they're chasing the shuttles because he clicked too many units to try and load into the shuttles. Right, so he flies in over the bottom side. This time he's got a Corsair, so the shuttles will make it all the way through. Marines are not responding. SCVs are not getting pulled off the minerals. He pulls the SCVs off the minerals, but there's 2 storms there on top of the SCVs, and he kills about 20 of them, I think. I think he killed about 20. I wasn't sure how many SCVs he had before the storm, but I think he killed about 20 or at least 10. So somewhere between 10 and 20. A couple of Marines went down, but mostly just damage on the SCVs. There's medics there. If he moves them over, he can start healing those SCVs so they don't instantly die to a storm once another storm comes in. This time around, 4 of 8 is not messing around. This time he is focusing more on spending his minerals on building a base than he's spending his minerals on frontal attacks. Although, a frontal attack now, honestly, with no choke, practically no choke, no wall here in the front, would have really done some miracles, because EBS is not as big as he appears. His supply count is pretty high, but most of his supply is here in the back, and it's mostly just SCVs. So this would have been run over by a frontal attack pretty much instantly, and he'd be facing some real danger. The drop comes in from the southern side once again. EBS sniping the shuttle, snipes the shuttles really well. No! Templars get to unload. And that is some great play from EBS. Looks like 4 of 8 is going to have to find new angles to fly in from. His engineering base giving him a little bit of extra reaction time. And also prevents one of the most important things is it's harder to see units that are on top of your buildings on the minimap than it is to see enemy units that are not on top of your units or your buildings. And this time he flies around in from a little bit of an easier angle, fights all the way in, but it's actually just zealots. And those zealots are there to clear out some tanks and be annoying. And force EBS to pull his SCVs off his minerals. So at least he gets something done, but not that much. This time around though, there's Templars in there, and he's gonna fly in from the front. But EBS, is he moving out? EBS is moving out. What's this? Is it because he saw that there's carriers? So he wants to open up some supply space, maybe for Goliaths or for raids. Though he seems to be a little bit behind on schedule. This time, one shuttle with the Templars doesn't make it through. He's got 4 starports now. He's got 1 armory, 2 armories. He's got no Goliaths on the way yet, no Karen boosters being upgraded yet. He's just trying to be annoying here in the front and take down those cannons. But it looks like it's going to pull back the base because the carriers have revealed themselves. And the carriers are on some upgrades. He's got ground weapon, air weapon, shield and air armor on the way. That's a lot of carriers. 11 carriers, and it's only 12 minutes into the game. So this is pretty much a strategy where you drop harass and go into carriers. And the drops are mostly intended to keep the Terran occupied and on their back feet, so that they're somewhat unprepared once those carriers do come in. But Goliaths have spawned, about 4 of them, 5. He's got a wave of tanks there on the way as well. He's sending in some tanks onto a suicide mission because he needs supply space, because he got himself supply stuck. Alright, so armor upgrades and ship weapons on the way. I don't see any ground upgrades on the way here. Mostly because he's going to be fighting against carriers. Carriers find their way in, going straight for the command center. EBS is preemptively pulling some SCVs off of the minerals so we can start repairing this command center. But I think he moved a little bit too late. The Marines are stimming down the interceptor, but not quick enough. It looks like he's going to lose the command center. Or yes, the command center goes down. Pretty much just a hit and run here from 458. Goes straight in and flies straight back out. The anti-air from EBS was a little bit too late. Interceptors now, though, have been taken down by the Marines and Goliaths, so at least he can't fight this at full capacity, so he's going to have to retreat. And EBS buys himself some time, but he got put into a state of handicap here. Because without that +1 command... Oh, wait! Drops coming in! No Templars! Just Zealots. No splash damage coming down from the tanks because he unseats the tanks here in the back and move them to the front. Carriers have rebuilt most of their interceptors, although a lot of interceptors still in production. Goliaths have mostly gone down, so it's mostly Marines, but he does have that cloak on the way. He's got 5 raids there, another 5 raids on the way, so soon he can fight against those carriers, and there's no observer to aid those carriers against raids. But it looks like 458 is not planning on giving him the time to get that cloak up, because he's inching closer and closer. No, he goes back. Just clearing out the side vision there, and clearing out turrets on the side. Moving and shooting, so at least he's displaying some nice carrier micro there. Good carrier control. Alright, might be a little bit too much. 2 rows of turrets, Marines with stim, and left 1 weapon upgrade against 1, 2, 2 upgraded interceptors. More raids are spawning as well, so the interceptors pretty much go down a little bit too quick. Cloak has finished up. Oh, he cancelled Cloak. He cancelled Cloak by accident. That's unfortunate, but nonetheless, he winds up winning the exchange. But now the Corsairs are coming in, so the Cloak might actually have been a huge difference maker, because look at those raids go down so quick. They stay alive. The Corsairs went down quicker. It means now that he can use those raids to actually save his minerals from the shuttle that came in at the same time. That is one of the closest calls I've seen in my life. That if those Corsairs, those raids with very little HP had come down to the Corsairs, the shuttle would have pretty much flown in all the way and killed the SCVs. So that's an extremely close call there in favor of EBS. It was a great setup on 458, but 458 falls flat by the smallest of margins that you don't often see. So yeah, more raids spawning. Carriers, well, pretty much have done their job, sacrificed themselves for the greater purpose. So now some Zealots have spawned there as well, ready to go for a frontal attack here on those Goliaths and tanks to at least try and clear them out, slow him down on the push outwards. Because he's pushing outwards, he's trying to go for the counterattack because his supply is pretty much maxed out. Except for the last 12, so 200. That's just going to mean he's going to have to build 2 more depots and fill that out. Mostly his job now is to make more factories and probably more starports. His upgrades are doing quite well. It's on 111 for his ground, 111 for his air. I only see 3 armories though. I don't see number 4. Somehow we got 4 upgrades, but I don't know how. Got 3 of them on the way though. So yeah, more shuttles here on the top side, filled up with Zealots and Templars. Cannons being thrown down on the middle. This game, 458 is really displaying another side of himself, where he does not expose himself to the same weakness he could have been exposed to last time around. He's going for a really controlled style of play. Less non-stop abuse, but, well, really hard to hold attacks because it's carriers. The Templars there low. Oh, he gets a storm off, and that's what happens when you don't dodge the storm and try to just snipe the Templars. And Zealots running in all the way to the backside actually. He's completely ignoring everything here in the front, just goes straight into the back and achieves pretty much nothing with that walkthrough. But nonetheless, very annoying, very annoying. Also opens himself up some supply space for more carriers. But given that he's only got 7 Stargates, that's going to take a while. So yeah, actually, he just wasted them Zealots because he's making more Zealots than Templars for shuttle drops. So he's got Corsairs on the way for those raids. He's moving out here in the front because he wants to seize the opportunity. Seize the opportunity while he can. The amount of factors is not that high. He's still trying to organize and manage his base while trying to push out here at the same time. I think he should try to trill this one out for now, like at least for the next 5 minutes, or at least until he has filled up his base. Shuttle drop comes in there from the top corner of his base. He snipes the shuttles. Templar did make it through though, but it only storms a couple of Marines there in the back. Carriers in the front try to go in, but they get forced away by the Goliaths, which are soon to have their 2-2 upgrades. Same for those raids, soon to be on their 2-1. Or is it air? Not sure if this is vehicle upgrade or air upgrade for armor. Just gonna have to wait and see in a couple of seconds which one gets the +1 on their armor. Oh, actually, it's air. Here, it's air. Terran's ship plating. Nice to know. Nice to know. So yeah, it's mostly just banking on raids. Raids, though, are not that great against Corsairs, and he's got a couple of Corsairs here. Raids are also not that great against carriers once those carriers have observer assistance. A lot of cannons here on the middle that are going to make it very hard for EBS to push out and move himself across the map. So EBS is actually finding himself in a really, really tough spot. What's really difficult to defend is a lot of tanks that he really can't do much with, except for pushing out over the middle while defending, which he's going to do because he's moving those tanks out into the front. And yeah, this is where the raids become useless, because those Corsairs assisting the carriers will just tear through those stacked up raids within seconds. These Valkyries, though, are going to be way more useful. 4-8 focuses first on those turrets there, clearing out those turrets, just removing that static defense, then rebuilding its interceptors and going in for bigger attack. EBS tries to go in on the observers, but he sees that he can't really go there because those Corsairs are zoning them away. Now a shuttle drop comes in. He's got Templars in there. Templars are loading on the low ground. Storm comes down. Another storm comes down as well. He kills about 20 or 30 of those SCVs. Now another drop comes in from the other side as well, but this one is empty. Mostly there to distract. One Templar still alive. He cleared out a lot of SCVs there. That's really hurting EBS's economy, but EBS looks to be staying alive here. He's killed a lot of interceptors. He's killed the Corsairs, which now means those raids can go in and try to snipe some of those carriers. But the carriers, even in a group of 10, are a little bit too much to handle at the moment. So he's keeping those Valkyries there in the back out of harm's way, where they'll be shooting on the interceptors, taking them down. And very slowly those carriers will be losing their HP as those interceptors return back to the carriers and eat up all those Valkyrie rockets. Although they actually call them Halo rockets. Halo rockets, because they kind of... yeah, I don't know why they're called Halo rockets. They just gave them a random name, I guess. Which sounds kind of nice. Halo rockets. Halo rockets. Lights on the chase. Quite an intense micro battle here with the carriers back and forth, but eventually the carriers lose, and that's a lot of damage from those Valkyries. A lot of damage. Look at them. Pretty much all their shields have been torn through, except for this one, lucky one, all the way in the back. Didn't receive any damage from it. Same unit combination from 458 once again. He's got a couple of Corsairs, carriers, observers. Only a single observer left though, so if that one goes down, raids might do some work, but pretty much all the raids have gone down. Also important to note, he took down a lot of the armories. There's still one up, but all the others have gone down. His SCV's count is slowly rebuilding. He doesn't have any SCVs on his gas, because he's got a nice little gas bank there. Zealot's going in first, clearing out some of those ground forces. The 1-2 tanks, not too happy about that one, but the carriers on 3-3 are happy because there's a little bit less there, and actually he taps out. Oh, he taps out because the drop came in from the bottom side, where all the turrets got cleared out. And already on 11 kills, a lot of SCVs under that storm, and the storm was about to clear out the remainder of his economy. Though it's only a single Templar. It's only a single storm, so this top side would have stayed alive, but I think that would have been about half of his SCVs, which is definitely not enough to keep fighting against 458, who is in full carrier production capacity. With those Stargates, with those gateways, with all the upgrades, and with cannons on the middle, that pretty much keep EBS boxed in. So that's pretty hard to swallow loss here for EBS. The pressure from 458 really has some insane pressure as a Protoss, and he does it all from a single base, which goes to show that you don't really need expos as Protoss if your Protoss just does all the right things correctly and well executed. Focus on the right things and most of all the right timings. I really think that 458 is one of those players who really does have the right timings. And even though we do show a lot of replays of 458 losing against top players like Humbrick Sasu or Minchul or Brain God or even Mong, there's actually about an even amount of replays where he wins. Which really goes to show how good his Protoss is. It really goes to show that his Protoss is actually top level. A lot of harassment from every single direction, and he always tries to sneak in some damage on the smallest of little things that wind up making a difference. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's the end of the series. EBS loses, and 458 takes home the trophy in this best of 3, Protoss versus Terran. Thanks for watching, goodbye, good night, and see you another day.